It is. Okay, let's see. I don't have my. Okay, good evening. It is 6 o'clock, and so we need to hopefully get our meeting out of the way before the snow comes. And we're happy to have people who are, get my glasses on, who are zooming in. Judy is with us tonight by way of the remote communication. So she is counted present for purposes of a quorum and voting. So Judy, we welcome you from afar, and anyone else who is streaming live with us tonight. So, there's that dog. Does she hear my voice? Maybe.
No, it was something.
No, well, you could have lied.
I know.
Anyway, so we are in order, and we need to adopt the agenda, which all of you have a copy of. All of us have a copy. So is there a motion to adopt the agenda?
I move we adopt the agenda.
Okay, are we in agreement? The four of us? In order for Judy and others who are streaming in, if we can talk into the microphone, they can hear better. Judy, can you hear us okay?
Yeah, I can hear you good. Can you hear me?
Yeah, you're great. Okay, so glasses are steaming up. The first item on the agenda is the public comments section. Has anyone signed up to speak tonight? I doubt it, but I just thought I'd check. Danny has. Okay. Before we welcome Danny to the microphone, we have the email that was sent to us by Barbara Ramsey, and you've had a chance to read it. I don't know if you wish to make any kind of comment. It was sent to us, and I believe to the health department, concerning our merchants and the not wearing of our masks. So I'll just leave it for your reading, and it is entered into our officially into our agenda, into our minutes. So I'll leave it at that unless someone wishes to make a comment. Okay, so we will move on to Danny. You're the only one that's on the signed in. Is that right, Danny? Yeah. Okay. All right.
5 minutes. Is that what you did?
It's 3, I believe.
Now, I'm gonna take up a lot of my time turning around looking at it. But anyway, I'll just get on to the 3 big things for tonight. I've got 2 more water items that I'm going to mention. I'm going to be through with water. I intended to be there in August, but the pandemic hit and all that. The first thing is it's just my opinion, but I believe that there should be a written document prepared for the town council by staff, the engineer, somebody, about the condition and functionality of the Bowlins Creek raw water line. I know that it's been in the ground a long time. We're coming up on the 1 century mark for our water system, and that is a very important piece of it. And I think the events that's unfolded over the last month probably demonstrated that gravity water is a good thing. Second thing is that with, I think probably Bob Helming would get some credit because he was the mayor during that time when your 2 million gallon water storage tank was constructed in the early 70s. And I think Mark Bennett's vision for the Cane River intake was probably ranked way up there and probably the top 2 or 3 things that's ever been done for the town going in the future. But I think now that we're here, it's time to identify a new water source. And I know that y'all are working on that through planning and so on and so forth. But I just want you to know that I support your effort in doing that. I think it's important to be done. And then my third big thing, I felt good about seeing Mayor, you on the front page of the paper, accepting the vaccine and stepping out front and leading. You can't lead from behind. And, you know, I think that demonstrates to our community that you're interested, you believe it's effective. And I appreciate everything that y'all have done last year in COVID with the pandemic. It's not been easy. Not been easy for me, and I didn't do anything. So, anyway, that's what I would say here tonight.
Well, thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Well, thank you, and a happy new year to you, Danny. Thank you. Okay. All right, that concludes our public comment section. Let's move on to the consideration of the minutes. Now, all of us have, except for Russell, am I right on this, Chad, that the closed session of the minutes, we all read them, except Russell, but we failed to approve them. So, is Russell coming tonight as far as we know?
Haven't heard from him. I know, no middle school ball season has started, and I'm not sure.
Well, I think I'll just go ahead and we can officially, Judy, you read them and we have a motion to approve the closed session minutes of November the 5th. So if someone would make a motion for that.
I'll make a motion.
Okay, why don't you second it, Denise? Okay, and we're all in agreement, I'm sure. Okay, if Russell comes in, we'll figure that one out later. Okay, then we have the minutes of our regular meeting from December, and so we need to approve those as well.
Okay, I move we approve. They were fine as far as I was concerned. I moved that we approve those minutes.
Okay, is there a second? Okay, are you in favor also, Judy?
Yes.
Okay, so those minutes are unanimously approved as well. Okay, so we're now looking at, not to confuse you, but Chad Fox was appointed deputy clerk to the board. And now that Jeannie has retired, we need to officially appoint him as the town clerk. He is no longer the deputy. So there is a motion to approve his appointment as our town clerk.
I move we appoint Chad Fox, our town clerk.
Okay, you want to second that, Judy?
I do.
Okay, and we're all in agreement. We're going to give the oath in a moment. The second appointment is that Jeannie was our tax collector, and so we're putting another hat on Heather and appoint her as our tax collector. Is there any discussion or a motion to officially appoint her as our town tax collector? Okay, so is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, and Bunny, you and I are in agreement, so that's unanimous. So we have now officially appointed our town clerk and our tax collector, and so and there is a can't remember, is there a
There is one in the.
Okay, so do we need to read that and then?
No.
It's official, okay, but do we need to swear you both in now?
I think probably that would be good.
Okay,
Since
well.
I have to give a report as a tax collector.
Okay, oh, that's right, you won't be.
Sworn in.
So let's see, you have do I have the Bible?
Chad's got it.
Okay. Let's see. Okay, so let's see, you put your right hand on the Bible. No, you put your hand on and raise your right hand. There.
Does that work?
Yeah. Okay, can you see, Judy? Okay,
Yeah.
so if you'll repeat after me, no, I'll just read this and then you can answer. I, J. Chad Fox, do solemnly swear that I will support and maintain the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution and laws of North Carolina, not inconsistent therewith, and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of my office as town clerk of the town of Burnsville, so help me God.
I, J. Chet Fox, do solemnly swear that I will support and maintain the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution and laws of North Carolina, not inconsistent therewith, and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of my office as town clerk of the town of Burnsville, so help me God.
All right, would you like to repeat this next line? I, J. Chad Fox, do swear. This other part. Can you see that?
Yes, I can.
Okay.
I, J. Chet Fox, do swear that I will well and truly execute the duties of the office of town clerk of the town of Burnsville according to the best of my skill and ability, according to law, so help me
Congratulations, Mr. Town
Thank you.
Clerk. Okay, thank you. All right, let's see, I'll give this back and I just have it.
You can just read it and I'll say I do.
Oh, okay, so here we go. Let's see. Can you hear me okay, Judy? Because I'm way up here in the, okay. I, Heather Hockaday, do solemnly swear that I will support and maintain the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution and laws of North Carolina, not inconsistent therewith, and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of my office as tax collector of the town of Burnsville, and that I will not allow my action as tax collector to be influenced by personal or political friendships or obligations, so help me God.
I do so swear.
I, Heather Hockaday, do swear that I will well and truly execute the duties of the office of tax collector of the town of Burnsville according to the best of my skill and ability, according to law, so help me God.
I do so swear.
Congratulations. Okay, whether you wanted it or not. Okay, so I guess you
I
both,
did take the class.
well, that's very helpful. So I guess you both signed that, is that right? Okay. Okay, so we now officially have our town clerk and our town tax collector. Okay. There is no public hearing this evening, so, and there are no presentations, so we're just moving along. Now we will, speaking of Heather, we will now yield to her to give us an update on her administrator's duties.
I'm going to start with an update, a COVID-19 update. Most of y'all have probably already heard that yesterday the governor announced his intentions to extend the stay-at-home order until January 29th. This means that from 10 p.m. to 5 a.m., citizens are asked to stay at home. Indoor gatherings are still limited to 10 people, not of the same household. Mask and social distancing are required for both indoor and outdoor. Outdoor limits will remain at 25 people with a mask and where you can maintain 6 feet of social distancing at least. Yancey County remains in the red, meaning that community transmission is very high. Our current state test positive ratio is over 15%. They like to see that number below 7%, more around 5%. I will mention that I was in a briefing on Tuesday with Dr. William Hathaway, the Chief Medical Officer at Mission, and he was extremely concerned about what was happening currently in the Mission ICU. That particularly concerned about staffing issues, that the surge is finally here, and he's worried about our hospital system being overwhelmed, as we have seen in other areas of the country. The main problem he touched on was staffing. They have put out a call to hire more nurses because currently the nurse to patient ratios are not very favorable. He can see where nurses will be trying to care for double the patients that they typically would have cared for on a shift. And that it's very hard. People think, well, a nurse is a nurse, but that's not true. You can't just transition nurses who are maybe orthopedic surgical nurses over into ICU care. That's a specialized type of care. So, they have currently, I think, 143 ICU beds system-wide. Most of those are at Mission. The sickest of the patients go to Mission. We still have bed capacity and ventilator capacity, but he did stress that staffing was an issue when you add those numbers on top of your regular ICU needs, like heart attacks or strokes, car wreck victims, that sort of thing. So his message was to please stay home as much as you can, wear your mask when you're out and about, stay distant from other people. Wanted to touch a little bit on the vaccines. Most of y'all know we are currently in Yancey County in phase 1B. So persons 75 years and older, regardless of whether they have any pre-existing conditions, can now be vaccinated. And then group 2 are patient-facing direct healthcare workers that weren't vaccinated in phase 1. They are now eligible for shots if they're over 50. And then we have our essential frontline workers, which include police and fire, EMS. I know that we've had some police officers who have been 3 that have already been vaccinated. And then group 3 in this phase 1B will be all other patient facing direct healthcare workers that weren't vaccinated, regardless of whether they have a chronic condition. Currently, the health department is the only place in the county that has the refrigeration units necessary to keep the vaccine. So private providers do not have it yet. My understanding, I talked with the county manager, that nursing homes have the ability to go into the state's CVS plan. We've had 1 nursing home that has already been approved for that plan, and the 2 others are in the process of getting approved. I think what that means is those vaccine dosage will come from that state/CVS plan and will not be deducted from our health department allotment. We're trying to get as much information as we can about the vaccine process up on our website. Chad's been working really hard on that, and we hope to be putting together some information to go out in everybody's paycheck next week so they can have some general information and see what group they might fall into. The latest round of stimulus money from the federal government did not include any allocations for local governments. It also did not extend the mandatory 80 hours of paid leave to employees impacted by COVID that we had last year. We did do a survey of take a look at our employee leave benefit report, and we don't have any employees currently who don't have at least 80 hours of paid leave. So I don't think at this time the board needs to necessarily take any action. We'll see if that becomes necessary in the future. Hopefully with the vaccines, we won't have an issue. But as of right now, anybody who had to be quarantined or out would not lose pay. And lastly, on COVID, I was on a call with the Western North Carolina Managers Group this week. They had Jill Moore, who's a public health attorney. She's a public health law expert from the School of Government, as a speaker. There's been a dispute back and forth between the School of Government staff and the Attorney General's office about whether local governments have the authority, the legal authority to enact ordinances or other measures that would require civil penalties. The governor had been on a call with some counties who were in the red, I think in October. Now pretty much everybody's in the red, asking local governments to do something above and beyond his orders, which the statute requires hold a penalty of a class 2 misdemeanor. Mainly looking at larger municipalities, people with more density and that sort of thing, but not to go into a lot of detail there. I mean, her advice was, I don't know who's right, and the judge hasn't made a determination on who's right or not. The AG's office seems to believe that there is legal grounds to enact those kinds of ordinances and impose civil penalties. The School of Government takes a different approach and thinks that local governments don't have the authority to do that. But in any event, they both, I've read both of their arguments. They both make compelling. Maybe we'll have a judge somewhere that actually gives us an answer to that. So moving away from COVID, unless you guys have any questions about anything we're doing with it. Judy, you got any questions about anything we're doing with it? Okay, moving away from that and on to an update on our land use plan. Corey has finished the draft of the plan. I think it went out in an email to steering committee members, and I'll try to get a copy of it out to also all board members. I think I just got that this morning. So the next step will be next week, the planning board and the steering committee meet. They'll look over it, try to decide if there's any changes that they want to make, and then refer it to the council for passage or review and passage. And so at that point, the next step will be at your February meeting to direct us to put it up on the town's website so we can have a good month of public input. We'll figure out a way either through our email system or something that people can leave comments. And then at the March meeting, have a public hearing to officially adopt it.
Heather, excuse me,
Yeah.
that meeting next week, what day is that?
That is on Tuesday, and I think the steering committee is going to start at 6, and then the planning board will start at 6:15, because the steering committee really doesn't have any business to do other than hand it off to the planning board.
So this is Tuesday, what is
The
that?
12th.
Okay, so
Heather,
6,
Yes.
can't, that's my last day of quarantine, so I can't make that meeting.
Okay. Well, we can WebEx you in if you
Okay.
want.
Yeah, that'll be good.
so it's 6 o'clock,
6 o'clock. Yes.
okay, here.
Here. It'll
Okay,
be here. Yeah, and we have to WebEx a planning board member anyway, so that won't be a problem.
okay.
So we're excited about it. I think it's a good document with some good recommendations. We'll remind everybody these are recommendations. It's a planning document. It's not changing our zoning ordinance or anything, but it is required now by law that we have a comprehensive land use plan. And then obviously we can take a look at implementing some of the recommendations. Some of them are about actually changing the ordinance, and some of them are about other items, prioritizing other items. Next, our stormwater mapping contract with High Country Council of Government. Jessica was supposed to start this month with the GIS mapping. Unfortunately, she had an accident and hurt her knee and had to have some knee surgery. So we have revised the contract dates, and she will be able to start in April. That's when she'll be released, because it's a lot of walking around and climbing through weeds and woods and stuff like that. So nothing else changed about that other than the dates. I've had continued discussions with Tim Heim at DQ about our special order of consent for our environmental violations due to the sewer spills that we've had. He sent me a very rough draft of what that might look like. We plugged in a list of some of the goals of ongoing projects we have right now, which would include the stormwater mapping and the rehab at the OMC pump station, and hopefully, if we are funded, the replacement of the line going from West Main out to the sewer plant. And we also had discussions about adding provisions for planning and diagnostic studies. Because really, I think Dylan would attest to this, one of the biggest problems we have, or issues we have, challenges, I'm going to say it's a problem, it's a challenge, is knowing where everything is, knowing how old it is, knowing what kind of repair or disrepair it's in, where we're having the most issues. There is a grant from the State Department that opens up, we think, in September of this year, that we would want to apply for. It is $150,000 on the sewer side, also $150,000 on the water side, for planning, for I&I studies, things like that. They feel like having an SOC in place certainly gains us points for that process. There is a match, and I have yet to determine there's some secret formula that they use. It's not the same for everybody. It is competitive, but they are encouraging us to try to get that. And it would be helpful to have a GIS map of the sewer system and the water system, the same as we're gonna have for stormwater, because, you know, right now, a lot of it is just in some people's heads.
Yeah.
And eventually, all those heads are not gonna be around to give us that information anymore.
Or they get dementia.
Well, or we just don't know. And I think with some of the projects we've been working on where we thought things were,
Yeah.
ended up they weren't there at all.
Can we apply for both of those grants?
We can, and they, you know, would urge us to do both. What I would like to ask y'all to think about, and I know it's the winter and we're in a pandemic and nobody wants to have a work session, but this is really a bigger issue than what we can tackle, you know, in just a regular board meeting. And I would love to have some dates that you guys think we could get together and discuss this, and, you know, on the water and the sewer side, sort of lay out all the possible projects. I've been having some conversations about different funding streams and avenues there. You know, we just need to have some in-depth discussion about that, how we're going to handle engineering for all of this. So if we could set a date for a work session, that would be fantastic.
We ought to, I mean, there's no way we could just do this.
Now, we could be here, literally, we could be here, what, 2-3 days? Just to lay it all out and explain it all and go through it. I mean,
Well, Heather, with your busy schedule, would it help if you sent us 2 dates to choose from, or are you going to do it tonight? I mean,
if we could set something tonight, I mean,
Okay.
they only, the 15th, I am not available, and the 19th,
so,
not available, but
how about you're not available the 19th? Is that what you
the
said?
19th, which is a Tuesday, the third Tuesday, or Friday the 15th.
Is there a possibility to look at a Monday or a Tuesday?
Monday, I don't have anything on Monday, the 25th.
I do. I have 2 things, unfortunately. Now,
Tuesday, the 26th.
18th is Martin Luther. Is that a holiday?
Yes, it will be a holiday.
Holiday, so
yeah.
that would not work. Monday or Tuesday suits you better? Is that
works really well for me.
okay?
Is there a time that's better for you? I mean, the 26th, I don't have anything on Tuesday, the 26th.
26th.
It would be anytime.
Well, unfortunately, I hate to be the problem.
It's
I'm
okay.
trying to get my knee worked on.
Well, that's okay.
So, well, let's see, after the 26th, a Monday or Tuesday, what if we looked at the first Monday in February? I mean, I don't even have my February calendar. Darn it.
I could do that first Monday.
What date
Not
is
the
that?
first. That's the first.
Okay. Would that work for you, Janice? Bunny?
Yeah, I could.
Does that work for you, Judy?
As far as I know, I don't have my calendar with me, but it should.
Okay, so February the 1st here at the town center at what time?
You want to say, is afternoon better for you, Denise?
It doesn't really matter. I'm open all day.
You say 1 o'clock?
Yeah, let's say the February the 1st at 1 o'clock.
Okay, thank you.
And that's a workshop, right?
Yes. Does that work for you, Dylan? Yeah. Okay. Huh? Well, yeah. If something doesn't blow up.
I have another meeting at 5, but I could just run out for that, a Zoom meeting from home.
Well, I think we'll be.
Hopefully, we're not even
Well,
here.
yeah. We can, from 1 to 5, we'll get out. We'll have to take a
Okay.
break then.
Right.
You said at 1 o'clock?
Yes, 1 o'clock here.
Thank you.
Okay, well, thank you, Heather.
Okay, the next, and I'll kind of hand this off to Chad because he has been working on this project, an advisory board handbook.
And we thought it'd be a great idea to have something, especially for new members, to look at, to be a quick things like public records, minutes, what is expected of them, expected of the chair, and it's just a really good overview of things they make them better at serving. It compiles all the information for the other boards we do have, member information, a lot of that not easily accessible. And this is the way for us to compile it.
I thought that was good.
Yeah. So let's see, we need to, this is the advisory board handbook. We need a motion and a vote to approve it.
I think that would be in order, yes,
Okay.
so that we can feel good about getting it out to our different boards. And it
Yes.
would work for committees too.
All right. So I'll entertain a motion that we, concerning the advisory board handbook, approve that. You make that motion, Denise.
Second.
Are you, Judy, how are you? Are you okay with that? Okay. So it's unanimous. Okay, thank you.
Okay. The next issue brings us to our own employee handbook. We have had some additions and changes, obviously, in our personnel in the past year. And we started looking at our job descriptions and feel like that, you know, they need an update. They were last updated in 2017. And there's going to be some, obviously, changes in, well, the administrator's description has not been formally adopted and put in there yet. And then Chad is going to have some different roles than what Jeannie had, working with the website and things like that. And then Brian has been working on separate descriptions for code enforcement, zoning administrator, and floodplain administrator. Those sort of fell under the heading of assistant public works director, but we felt like that one person can wear a lot of hats, obviously, but we
As you
felt
know.
like it would be good to have separate descriptions in case we get to a day where we have to hire somebody separately. So it would be pulled out from some more general overview. So we will be bringing those back to the February meeting.
Good.
I just wanted to give you an update on that. Then we have our animal control ordinance amendments. When we, I guess, two meetings ago, we had some citizen concerns. And then last meeting, we brought you some general language to update basically the nuisance provisions and the dangerous dog provisions in our ordinance. It seemed to only fit really barking dogs or dogs that chase people, that sort of thing. And obviously, people have all different kinds of pets, as we heard, and other pets can cause problems. So we have provided you all with a draft of an ordinance. And I know you've had an opportunity to kind of look at it. And
So we probably, is there any input?
yeah, if you have any input, anything you want to change, any questions you want to ask, or if you feel comfortable in approving it.
We could call, if there is no discussion or comments on it, I'll entertain a motion that we approve
Well,
it.
I guess I sort of had one little question, and I can't
Yeah.
remember. I know, was this the one where if the dog bit somebody once, it was $50. If it bit somebody twice?
Well, not if we actually will be incorporating, the state has a really good statute on dangerous dogs. So we'll be following that.
Okay, I couldn't remember.
But the penalty, we did revise the penalty provision, which does have staggered penalties for repeat offense.
Yeah,
for
and I
nuisance.
can't remember, what's the offense? And I don't think I'm there yet. And I'm not there yet, but now tell me. I know I was thinking, okay, it bites you once, but was it for biting?
No,
Or was that something else?
that's
Okay,
under the
good,
state's
because I thought,
dangerous
oh,
dog
that damn
statute.
dog bite me.
No. We might not let them get that many bites at the apple.
We don't let the dogs
no.
bite people
No. These are
before he is taken to the shelter and he is rehab or something.
Well,
I mean, it's not, or he, what was, it's for biting that he could be, that you're fined multiple times. It wasn't biting, was it?
No, but,
No.
well,
Just for
Yes,
nuisance, just for
right.
being a nuisance, but it wasn't for biting.
right. And it's if Brian or,
It wasn't for nipping at your heels or something. I don't even want him nipping at my heels. I love dogs, but I think they don't need to be be that kind of a nipping nuisance or a biting nuisance. Yeah. That's good. Okay.
and just repeated, we really didn't have any way, if, we have repeated, offended
Yeah.
the same people over and over.
Yeah. Like he was doing at this lady's house, going over and getting on her furniture and blah, 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 and all.
Yes.
That's good. That's
Okay.
good. Okay. I got to thinking, oh my gosh, was it for biting you? Oh,
it's just,
surely not.
nuisance. I mean,
Yeah.
No, if a dog is truly dangerous, then we'll follow the state statute
Okay.
for that. And then there's always, we have other provisions within the ordinance to get abatement orders. We have to have an animal removed from the district and that sort of thing. So,
That's good. So
yeah.
I just wanted,
Okay, are there any other questions or comments concerning, this draft that we have?
I thought it was very thorough.
It is. So Judy, I mean, is there a motion then that we approve it?
I'll make that motion.
All right,
Is it?
second it, and Denise and I are in agreement, so that's unanimous, Heather.
Okay. So the next item on my list is the citizen participation plan for the CDBG program. Several months ago, I think Michelle had sent a whole package of sort of policies and procedures that the town had to adopt in order to be eligible to get these federal funds. They have just sent us this week a updated citizen participation plan, which includes language about how we have to handle public hearings that are virtual. So if we went all remote and we weren't able to allow people to come in and actually come to the public hearings for the CDBGI grant funding process, we'd have to follow these new guidelines for that. And I think, Chad, they were provided a copy of.
Yes.
So it's the red language, I guess. I don't know on your computer if it showed up as red, but they just need us to adopt this new policy. And with that, Chad and I have had discussions that we want to get a plan in place for interpreters and listening devices for people who are hard of hearing, because as it stands, if people make a request, then we're going to have to honor that. And we certainly don't want to get a last minute request and don't have anybody lined up for those types of services. So we're going to figure out how we can do that.
Okay, so, but for the moment, we need to approve, let's see, I got rattled by that phone going off. We need to approve this CDBG.
The CDBGI Citizens Participation
Yes.
Plan.
And it's in our packet, so are there any questions or comments for Heather about that? No, are you okay with that, Judy? Is there a motion for us to adopt that?
I'll make the motion.
Okay,
Second.
okay, and all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so it's unanimous, Heather.
All right, and the last thing I have is the tax report.
As our new
As the new
tax collector.
And you have a copy of the report back to 2010
Yeah,
to look at. Yesterday, the 6th, penalties and interest began to accrue on the current year tax. We're trying to collect the 2020 tax.
mhm.
And I did get a report from Jackie this afternoon. We have collected to date 86.17% of our ad valorem levy. That's $714,407.82. So Jackie feels like that is pretty much in line with how we have collected in the past. So we're not too worried about that revenue stream at this time. With COVID and everything, we weren't really sure, but how these things would play out, but it looks like so far so good.
That's good to know.
So I'm
Okay.
done.
Okay, so, well, thank you. You had a lengthy report there
I
for us.
know, way too much.
No, it's, well, you're busy, so thank you very much. And that moves us on to you, Dylan. With,
Sounds like my report. All right. Don't worry, Danny. I got you covered on Bowling Street. So we'll start with OMC pump station update. As you guys know, we had another SSO. Unfortunately, it was due to the balloon, which sits at the bottom of the motor and pump. Color system shoots wastewater out to the force. There's 2 holes in that balloon, which ended up flooding the sump pump that's in the dry well and shorting everything. So we had Underwood, Charles Underwood, the company we use. They came up, they pulled that motor out, and they took it back to their shop while our pump number 1 was running adequately. A few minor hiccups with it. Nothing for another SSO, but it's keeping up. And then they just brought it back on Monday, and they put that back in. They rebuilt the whole thing, and got it running again. So, OMC pump station back up and running, and I know Bill is looking at the final shop drawing and stuff like that. So for the pumps, pumps take about 16 weeks to get here. So we're looking at May-ish.
oh my Lord.
Probably when we start the process of mine. That's if everything goes well. So we're also working with Underwood on trying to get some backup parts he has on the shop floor up here just in case something like that happens. Have another SSO, all those little things that we need to have on hand. The King River intake pump update. As you guys know as well, so we had the second pump at the King River pump station pulled for maintenance. And during that time, while it was being repaired, the first pump decided to, or the first motor, excuse me, decided to blow some fire out of it and take a downfall, which then resulted in us not having motors to bring in raw water. We had I sent a couple of my guys up to Bowling Street to open that up. This is where it gets interesting. But somewhere in that line, we had, when I started here, we actually prepared that line several different places. But somewhere in that line, there's a clog. And so what we were working on throughout this process is trying to get that clog because there's no screen on it, on the gravity line, with intake gigs. So that's another little thing we're going to create is little screens so no animals can get our raw pipe into our gravity line, leaves, rocks, and stuff like that fall into the intake. Can't get washed down there and clog the line. Then again, Russell with Charles Underwood, he right there with us the whole time. They brought one up that day, and unfortunately, there's a bushing inside the one that dropped, which is very rare to have. But Burnsville got it, and so the shaft that goes inside the motor did not fit, and so we had to purchase a new one, which we had back. They actually worked overnight to create a brand new shaft for us and get the motor ready for us in Hickory and to King River pump station at 8 a.m. We were back up and running by I think 11:30. We fired everything up and we were running.
Good Lord.
So that was very scary.
Very
We sent out the oil advisory, conservation, water, and all that stuff. So all that stuff out. And then our guys, just so you guys know, our guys up at the water plant, I commend them. They work 12 hours a day, all the way through Christmas, and all the way through Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, New Year's, all that stuff. We're constantly doing all that stuff. Building that tank back up. I'll stop there and ask you any questions on the CD4. And
You just don't seem very busy. Goodness.
we did get our first snow, so that was pretty cool. Wastewater treatment plant update. So everything on the 3 plant right now is running fantastic. It's running like a new plant. Good numbers out of it. All the testing passing, all that stuff is good. The only thing I would note is I've been working with Chad Chris on getting kind of creative. We took pictures of how they designed the diffusers that are in the 3 plant. We're going to try to design ourselves something on the lines of that, because the last quote we got was like $50,000. The company was out of Kansas, and then we had to put insurance on it, all this other stuff. That was going to cost a lot of money. And we're working on trying to get a quote to kind of just put it together ourselves. A hose and pour in a concrete block and put PVC diffusers on top of it. So not too complicated. But we have to do that because the plant is starting to get a little wishy-washy with the air, and need air to survive. Keep the bugs. Safety equipment discussion. So working with the guys, we've been, since I've been started here, we've been buying some safety stuff. So we're compiling a list together to include new shoring. They need a little bit more updated, and the ability to expand it in different sizes and stuff like that. So we can go from a 6-foot hole to a 12-foot hole. So having the proper stuff to be able to cover all the stuff that we have in the town in order to do so. Obviously, safety is first priority before we ever do anything.
Amen.
So then employee safety moves on to employee safety and standard operating procedure. So that's another thing. So Matt Robinson actually volunteered to give me a hand on this too, and kind of review, put some stuff together. What we're doing with this is basically just, there's nothing really in writing of how we should operate, right? So we should always look at it. We're going to basically create a safety procedure, how to follow, what to follow, and then what to take to a job site, what needs to be on the truck, no matter what time of year it is, this has to be on the truck. All the little details that we don't have in place to start cutting down the time that it takes to be on the site. So all those are kind of getting together, as well as I'm finishing up my OSHA 30 general ministry course now. There's a bunch of stuff in that where, from evacuation plans to standard safety plans that we have to have for every topic covered within public works. Writing up, creating. So there's that. Then Glen Raven Road. I know the residents have been super happy about that. So I just kind of wanted to explain what was going on out there and why it was dipped down and all that stuff. So essentially what happened was we dug it out and we got down to the line. Pipe sits around 12.5 feet deep. So we took, with the equipment that we do have, it takes us a little longer to get down to that point. We got everything basically ready to go. The asphalt plant closed at 5, so the contractor on the job site was there with their asphalt at 5, and we replaced a 12-foot section of water line down there, and got that out, got it all filled back in. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, it was about 1:30, 2 o'clock in the morning when we got everything got finished up out there. But the reason there was a dip out there was due to the amount of water that was in the hole from the water line that was busted down there. So when you start compacting everything, the water starts to push out, and so it's going to be soft. It's going to sink. And then obviously we couldn't go back the next day because the weather being too cold. That's all plant wasn't open. And it goes to the next day, and the next day, and the next day. So it took a little while to get 45 degrees when they ended up paving it. Had a nice warm day. Coned everything off that day and got everything paid back. So it's a lot better now. We fixed the left-hand lane, I guess in the middle of the lane where the two meet. We got that all cut out. It doesn't shoot you off the road. So that's all I got. If you have any questions.
Well, I want to thank you personally for your attention to employee safety, because that's been one of my major concerns through the years. So thank you for working on that. That cannot be overlooked in any way. So thank you. But it's a good report. Thank you, Dylan. Okay, Leslie, we'll move to you and our finances, please.
It's the end of the year. And if you have any questions, just let me know. And then I'm moving on to the first project ordinance I have, which is the OMC pump station force main improvements.
Mm-hmm.
We went over a little more than we expected on the temporary pumps. And so what I've done is I've just increased that line for reimbursement, and it's got failure of force main. I increased it and I decreased the construction of the pump station repair, because we know that the pump stations come in under, but that was the line that we could actually use it. But it's still the very same bottom line, because that's the actual loan amount. So I need a motion to approve this.
The project ordinance amendment,
Yes.
you're saying? Okay. Yes. So I'll entertain a motion to approve the project ordinance amendment.
I'll make that motion.
Okay. I'll second it. Are we all in agreement?
Yes.
Judy and Bunny? Okay, so that's unanimous. Leslie?
Okay. The next one is the wastewater treatment plant.
Yes.
It's the project ordinance on that. I waited because there was a couple of change orders. I just wanted to wait till the project was over and then just update it. It looks like that I had actually added the clarifier before, and it was covered in Genesis, actually their contract price. So it looks like we came in actually better than we had thought. But this should be the very total ending amount of $525,588 that it's cost us to rehab that.
Okay, so we need to approve that, correct?
Yes, please.
All right, so is there a motion to approve that, Leslie?
I move.
Okay, do you second? And we're in agreement, Judy, I gather. Yes, okay.
Okay. And third is a budget amendment. The police had to have that four-wheel drive truck fixed,
Yes.
and that's definitely saved us money instead of buying a new one. Thank you. So that pretty much hurt his line in case that he needs any other vehicle maintenance or tires. So we're just going to increase his vehicle maintenance line by $5,000 and decrease the contribution to fund balance. Then the water, we've done a couple different ones because there's been the increase for the actual paving is expensive, I gotta say, and then supplies. And we're increasing the infrastructure supplies by $16,187 and increasing the gravel, asphalt, and repair by $19,500, decreasing the capital outlay line by $35,687. On the sewer side, we're increasing the gravel, asphalt repair by 10 and increasing the wastewater analysis and testing by 1,000 and decreasing the capital outlay by 11,000.
Okay.
So it's really just a line transfer. It's, just
Right.
around. So, but I need a motion on that.
Are there any questions for Leslie about that before I call for a motion to approve that? Okay, is there a motion then that we approve what she has presented?
Why, yes, I move we do every bit of that.
Okay, do you,
Whether I understand it or not.
don't say that. Yeah. Good grief.
Oh, my
Well,
glasses are foggy.
maybe that's why you didn't quite get it. Do you second that?
I would second.
Okay, and Judy, do we have a vote? Yes. Okay, well, thank you, Leslie.
Because I
You're welcome.
trust Leslie.
Well, we're not increasing the bottom line, we're just moving around
I
inside.
see that. I
Yeah.
see the moving around.
Yes.
Yeah. So it's,
It's,
it's not we're not dipping into our savings for anything.
that's good to know. Okay,
For that, on that side.
all right. One more item on the next,
Oh, yeah, sorry.
it's the signature card.
Yes, we need to update our
Oh.
signatures at the bank since that Jenny's no longer here and she's a signer. We're thinking it should be me, Teresa, and Henry.
Well, of course, I'll approve that.
I'm not following the agenda. Sorry.
Okay, so
That
is-
was on the agenda.
Is there a motion for us to approve the signature card updates?
I'll make that motion.
Okay, you want to second that? All right. Are you in agreement?
Yes.
Okay, good. Okay, so the motion carries. Thank you very much. Niles, is Niles okay? We don't know anything about? Is that the fire, we hear, it's not the police?
What is it?
Okay. Okay, so we'll, assume that all is going well with the fire department construction, or do we know anything to the contrary? Well, okay, we'll move on to you, Brian, for your fine report. Or reports, I should say.
Regarding the police department, passed out our activity logs.
Mhm.
Of course, it's been a unique year for us. Slightly different for last week or so right here.
Brian, I can't hear you.
Move that microphone.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah,
Can you hear me now?
yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. Again, I passed out our which would basically be our end of the year numbers there with the police department. We've been fortunate this year with regard to COVID within the department. I think we only had one officer miss any more than just a day or two with regards to testing and stuff. So we've been very fortunate with that. As Heather said, we have had some officers already get, including myself, get the first of the vaccine shots. Really, that's all the update I have for the police department. We've had pretty much business as normal, made it through the holidays without any real issue. Moving on to zoning code enforcement, we do have a request from Ron Minnie Powell for a rezone of a property down on the address 407 East Main Street. They purchased this property and looking to rezone it from residential to commercial. Heather and I looked over this, and the proper procedure for this would be to bring this for the council. The council would normally refer this to the planning board for their recommendation. That they would make a recommendation back to the planning board based on whether they think you should or should not, and then you'll have a public hearing and a meeting at the next regular board meeting. Hopefully, the planning board meets next week on the 12th. So, assuming that it's your pleasure to ask them to refer to them for a recommendation, we'll take that matter up next Tuesday for them to give a recommendation back to the council regarding this project.
Okay, okay, so what is this property close to? If it was in residential and it's gonna be,
It was zoned, the property's currently zoned residential. It's one of those that abuts both residential and commercial. It actually has an East Main Street address, and it has a access point, a town alleyway to East Main Street. The properties in front of it are zoned commercial, so it is sort of fitting with the character if the council.
It did have commercial activity.
Yeah, and it's going to have commercial activity on it, so a commercial designation would fit more with what the property owners are looking to do with the property.
okay. Well, so we need a motion,
Well, is the property is not just a vacant lot, but it had a commercial building on it?
It had a residential in it, and that building is now gone.
It also had commercial.
And it does have, well, it does have a separate,
What is it next to? I mean,
structure.
I'm just can't visualize it.
it's it was Brian Butler's property and behind Jim Hughes and Associates, with the survey place down on East Main Street.
Yes,
I
okay.
don't know if y'all are familiar with
I
that or not,
do.
right there at, near CeeLo Street.
And the other buildings around it are residences or,
The rear of the property would abut residential, the front of the property is abutting commercial.
So I will remind y'all, you're not being asked to rezone it.
Right,
It has to
yes.
go to planning, and then planning comes back to the
Right.
recommendation. and goes to public hearing. But
Yes.
for zoning purposes, you can't take into consideration what they're going to do. They've made an application to have it rezoned from R10 to C3. And there'll be a staff report after the public hearing about what,
So our responsibility tonight is just to agree to send it to the planning board.
about all it has to be.
Yes. And so,
Refer to the planning.
I guess my question is, why does it come to us first? Is that a,
Because they made an application, and then our ordinance says somebody has to refer it to planning.
so that's
By
us.
law, it has to be referred.
it can't, that's it. It can't just go straight to planning.
No,
I mean, I'm just asking. for
we
my own
refer it,
information.
then it will come back to us after planning gets through with it, right, Heather? So we end up reviewing what planning does, but we have to refer it.
I'm just asking for my own
Yeah.
information. They have to,
It is cumbersome, and if the ordinance were different, we could probably
I
send
mean, it
any
just seems-
application straight to planning.
Yeah,
But planning meets next week, we just need to.
yeah,
make
and it
things
just seems
buttoned up.
straight to me. It seems like a weird, just
Passing it back.
cumbersome step for them to have to come to us when we have nothing to do with it except just to shoot it to somebody else.
Well, it will come back to us. We
You
do,
will make a final decision.
yes,
Planning can only make a recommendation.
yes.
You have to have a recommendation by law from you. Make a written recommendation.
So we have the final word.
I guess I don't see what, okay, I mean, I'm just saying that seems,
Well, I'll make the motion that we refer it to planning.
I'll second it.
Okay.
Are we, and all in agreement? Yes.
And then we do need to have y'all just agree to set it on the February 4th meeting for a public hearing, and we can get that notice. There's a 2-week notice on that.
Okay. I'll make-
So my question is, it could never get to planning unless it came to us first.
The way this is set up,
The way we've got our planning and
The
zoning stuff set
application
up.
comes in, and then the board, if it's set on your agenda to refer it.
Right.
we have to send it there, otherwise it wouldn't go.
Well, that answers
There
my
are several
question.
ways to get something, but for a zoning map amendment, that's the process.
Right.
I'm not mistaken, right,
I'm just educating myself on this. I'm just asking.
So,
Well, you see what
Now,
I'm
a
saying?
text amendment could, if it's a text amendment, it could originate from a citizen, or the council could ask planning to look at something, or planning could send something back.
I'm not arguing with it. I think it's
So I'm
strange.
just letting you know.
okay, well, any other questions about that? We've already voted to send it to planning. So that we've
Okay.
taken care, and the public hearing, we need a separate motion on that?
I think that
Or, so we must have a public hearing. So are we in agreement on setting the date for the public hearing on the 4th of February? Is that right? Yes. Okay, we're all agreement on that. Judy, okay. Okay,
Okay, thank you. And I have on here for a 160D update. We are still working on those. We're trying to go through, changing some of our language, that we'll be looking at in the future with our ordinances to make them in compliance with, the state guidelines with regards to this 160D update. This land use, plan, that we'll be reviewing next week will be another portion of all that. We're just working toward that goal because I think our deadline is like sometime in summer, I believe, June, July.
It's July the first.
But we're hoping to have it finished before then. But we'll be coming back to you with those proposed changes that we need to make or can make in the future. That's what I have as far as updates, unless anyone has any questions.
Does anybody have any questions? All right. Well, thank you for your good report.
All right, thank you.
Okay, Chad, we'll move on to you with the town center.
January, there's actually this year more rentals than last January, but they're
Really?
smaller rentals.
Like,
So-
give me an example of a small rental.
A lot of church meetings here recently.
Okay.
And we still have some small groups like gymnastics. Where in February last year we had the Wedding Expo. Unfortunately, this year we won't get to have that. So hopefully it can come
Yeah.
back next year.
That's too bad.
Oh yeah, February's a little slow so far. That's where we're at right now for the winter months.
The winter months are slow and cold. Okay. Thank you very much. Let's see. Well, I guess we will move on. I have nothing I was to mention the minutes. We've already taken care of that. So we'll move on to you, Jamie, please.
And two, I can be sufficient distance here to remove this to speak to you because I'm full of hot air. I am. Three items that are on your agenda that I want to update you about. Thanks, sir. The first that we have is Little Leaf Farms' request for extension of water service to their proposed site in Micah. We'll give you an update on that. I mentioned that briefly to you at your last meeting. As you know, we have two projects in the Micahville area that the Leaf Farms one is one. And then we have a project which we refer to by the alias of Project Micah, which is scheduled to close and be formally announced this month on the adjoining property, which is the former Hickory Springs property. Little Leaf Farms has requested an extension of public water to their site as part of their agreement to take that property and locate there. We would actually serve while we were at it, both of those properties, the Little Leaf Farms site and the site for the adjacent project. Heather and Dylan and I have had some conversations with potential grant funders since we have an economic development project there and job creation numbers. Little Leaf Farms' most recent letter to the Department of Commerce, which they sent on the 30th of December to recommit to the project and request an extension on their JDIG grant, commits to 100 jobs and increases their capital investment from 86 million to 91 million actually under their current scenario. And then we'll announce, of course, the job creation numbers and capital investment on the adjoining project when we're able to release that information. But since we have job creation component to those projects, that allows us to request money for public infrastructure. We would want, and I mentioned this to you, I think, briefly, 2-mile extension of the current water line from its existing terminus at Micahville Elementary School to these properties. But also, as part and parcel of this, while we have an opportunity to leverage funds from funders, I'd requested that Heather and Dylan put together a list of potential improvements to the water system that we might also seek funding for while we were at it, that would allow us to see that your water system was in better situation to deal with the adequacy of furnishing water to both these projects and be poised to recruit additional projects in the future, because then of course we have to be forward thinking, as you guys have done a great job of being and thinking about your water and sewer infrastructure. We've spoken with Hillary Sherman with the United States Economic Development Administration first, and that was a promising conversation. Following up to that, we spoke with Olivia Collier, who is the state director of the Appalachian Regional Commission, and then we most recently had a conversation with Ted Lord, who's chief funding officer for the Golden Leaf Foundation. All three of those organizations have looked favorably on a grant request for this project. The total project that we've outlined, if we were able to fund the entire scope of work, is about $4 million. So it's not an insignificant grant request that would be coming from these agencies. Basically, we're trying to figure out who we're going to ask what for of those components. We've completed those conversations. It would be my request, I haven't had a chance to speak to Heather about this, but to convene all of those funders back together on a conference call once we have buttoned up with Little Leaf Farms their final commitment to executing the incentive agreement, which was offered them by the county. Had conversations with them today, actually. So we're moving forward toward that end, hopefully. And my goal is this month, and the timeline that they've furnished Commerce is that we will work through that this month. That we would be in a point where we would have that buttoned up. And once that commitment was concluded, then we would come back with these funders to follow up on the particular requests that we've made. We would have to begin making grant applications in late winter. So in these months that we're in, February, March, for the Golden Leaf funding, probably first, and then ARC. And we see where we land with those, and then follow up with the USEDA application. So just to make you aware that's some potential funding sources for both infrastructure that would serve these properties in Micaville, these industrial facilities, but also provide you some improvement to your existing water system while we have the opportunity to request those funds. Any questions about that?
When does Little Leaf actually get here? I mean,
so the timeline that we're looking at now, based on their most recent communication with the Department of Commerce, is that we would conclude the incentive agreement this month. The county would have to go through the process of concluding its purchase. We'll be looking for LGC approval in March or April, depending on what the LGC schedule was like. Grading would start as soon as possible. Their goal is to begin erection of their building in August. So that's the timeline that we're looking at. We have quite a bit of site prep to do on this site, though there is quite a bit of it which is graded. There's quite a bit of grading to do, and that's going to be a project that takes time. Of course, the county will have to bid that work, and we'll have to go through the process of doing that. But that is the timeline in its current iteration, based on their most recent correspondence with Commerce, which Commerce has received and approved.
well, I'm just glad they're still coming.
They're still coming. They've had, as everybody has, we've had complications here with both relocating from one site to the other, but then they've had complications from COVID too, as most large industries have. In 2020, it's brought everything to a much slower pace, for sure. And hopefully be in a position to announce to you what the project is on the adjoining property as well before your next meeting also.
Okay.
These other two items I'll take probably in reverse order, because they both have to do with a collaboration that we're working through with Appalachian State University. And then I may add another one to the mix at the end here. Farmers market design process moved forward very well. We finished the first phase of that with the first cohort of students at Appalachian. They went through, and Brian, Dylan, Heather were on those conversations. It was great to work with those students and watch them go through what was a pretty big task of us looking at 21 different designs, distilled down to 4 different designs, distilled down to 1 design, which is where we are now. I had a conversation with Jason Miller, who is the faculty member who really leads that team, this past week. So our plan on the farmers market design process is the initial concept design is completed. So they're in design drawing mode now. And actually, the faculty has started that before this next cohort of students will come online. And it's a little larger cohort. It's about 25 or 30 students, which will work on this project beginning in the semester when they come back from break. The timeline on this will be I've asked them, since we have to come to you for zoning approval, which is actually a learning process that oftentimes they don't have. They said the last project that they had, town of Sparta said they were just happy to get whatever was there for people. So the faculty is pleased that they're going to have to actually go through the process of permitting the zoning approval for structure. But in order to be able that we complete it on time, the goal is that they will first design the slab and footer design, site prep, footers, slab for the building. That will be designed so that the county can go ahead and begin to prep the site for construction for whatever design lands on it, because we have to make some tweaks to it. So that will be complete by March. First thing they'll do is do site prep design. Then they would prepare the construction drawings so that we can coordinate with Brian and then move forward. While that's under construction, the sub flooring, footers, et cetera, site prep is underway. We can come to planning board and council for zoning approval concurrently, so we don't hold ourselves up really, rather than complete the entire set of drawings and then come to you with everything. So that's our plan. We hope to do that in February. Depending on when planning board meets, we'll coordinate those dates with Brian.
This is kind of jumping ahead, maybe too far, but when do you think it would be completed? I mean, everything's ready for it to
August.
August. Okay.
So the plan is that the structure would be complete when the semester falls, when the summer semester ends, spring, summer into summer.
I see.
And they're going to go a little further beyond that. So August would be the date that they're looking at to be complete. Now, this structure is a little larger than some others that they've done. So we sort of have a contingency. If we can't complete it by that time, and just to sort of explain to you the general concept of the design before we actually share the elevations with you, there will be a 2-story building which will front along West Main Street, have office space, demonstration kitchen, conference room, that type of thing. Then there'll be 2 wings which come off of that back of the property, which will be the market. Those wings will come off that front building. The goal is if we can't complete everything by August, we'll complete the 2-story building and one of the wings, and then we'll come back in the fall semester and complete the other. I am hopeful, though, that we speed this process up, because we're also planning to do something else that they haven't done, which is what we had a conversation about this week. Was on a call with Cynthia Deaton, CTE director, Jeremy Dotz, who is the instructor in construction trades program at the Mountain Heritage, the OR building there in Mountain Heritage, and Kevin Huskins, to develop a collaboration between the students at the university and the students at the high school. And we think that that's going to work out very well, so that the students at the high school are going to be able to frame floor joists, walls, that type of thing here, while they're fabricating the other components in Boone. And then we'll be able to have all of those students work here on site together to put it up.
I think that'll be interesting.
So we hope that that's going to be something that comes together. Faculty's talking with each other now. Folks will come down and have a look at the old building here. If that happens, it'll be the first time that they've done a project working with high school students as well. It's something that was sort of been a passion project of mine, because I'm very proud of that program here. And to have them collaborate with our high school students, I think is great. We'll aim some of them perhaps to Appalachian, continue those studies if they have an interest in it, and the programs that Appalachian offers. We've sort of had an opportunity to look at collaboration in different ways with faculty at Appalachian, which has been encouraging. Heather and I worked, I guess, a couple of months ago on an outline of potential projects that we could do to begin to tackle how we might begin to catalyze the growth of workforce housing and additional residential housing construction in the town. An urban area, you might call it infill development. I don't know if that strictly applies here, but we'll call it that essentially. One of the things that we came across in looking at some programs that have been done in other areas was what they've called a capacity building program for contractors and developers. basically to say, rather than us having to go out and try to recruit some large developer from Charlotte or Atlanta or even Asheville to come here and build a multi-unit workforce housing project, whether it's 3 units, 4 units, 8 units. We'll just put a program together to begin to educate our own developers and contractors how they might look at doing that, which is something they've not thought about doing before. Most of our contractors are good at building single-family stick-built homes, one project at a time. They don't really think any further afield than that. But I think that there's potential to have interest there, not just here, but in the region. We can maybe get our contractors to thinking, this is how I do a project that may be a multi-unit project, and make it work for me. Something I can do and make money at. We reached out to the same faculty that we were working with on the farmers market project. Heather and I said, well, we have this crazy idea that's been done in other places. We wondered if you were interested in perhaps working with us to put a program together. Is that something the university would be interested in doing? And they said, oh, we're absolutely interested in talking about it. I think we've had 2 conversations and have a follow-up conversation scheduled for later this month. Basically, what Appalachian would do would be they already have a continuing education program for contractors. So we would put together a curriculum, which we've called the Homegrown Developers Project, basically, which would be a continuing education series for contractors who wanted to learn how to build small multi-unit affordable or workforce housing projects. And then we would seek grant funding to cover that. They have the ability to teach it. They have the faculty. They have the program already established. What we would propose is that it would be a 2-part program back when you're able to actually to sit in a room and go to a class again for professional development. They would offer the course at Appalachian in Boone. They would come here and teach it for anybody in the neighboring counties who would want to attend. Not only could the contractors get their continuing education credits by taking it, we also would consider asking for grant funding to provide a subsidy to say, you can take this course and by the way, you don't have to pay for it, which makes it more attractive for contractors to say, I've got to get my continuing education. This course looks interesting. I don't have to put the bill for it. Let's sign up. Now, it wouldn't just be offered here, it'd be offered regionally. I think that's a good project. I appreciate Heather's willingness to say, let's reach out to them and start seeing where we can do some work to figure out how to sort of light a fire to residential development within the town. And I appreciate Appalachian's enthusiasm to say, this sounds like a very cool project for us. Let's work together on putting that together and we'll offer it. It would be a benefit.
That's neat.
Not only to us because of what we would get out of it by training contractors and developers, but if they're coming here to take the course, that'd be kind of nice for you guys too. They spend their money here in town.
Yeah, that is neat.
So that's the Homegrown Developers Project. I also had a conversation, which I haven't had a chance to speak to Heather about when we were on the call, about collaborating with the high school and the university. The university instructors told me that they were conducting we're going to participate in the Department of Energy's Solar Decathlon Design Competition, which is basically a process where a cohort of students, graduate students, do an energy efficient home design. And their theme would be prefab construction for affordable housing. And they said to us on the call, is this something that the high school want to participate with us in? Because we had Jim Swaim on the call as well, his connection with Habitat. Basically, the university students would compete in the design competition, doing a complete entire set of drawings to build the building. And then they would be able to hand that off to Habitat or the high school here to build. I told them at that time, speaking a little bit for you, that I thought that it might be something that you want to have a conversation about. If we could identify a potential parcel here in town that we could do what Habitat has done before. They've kind of gone away from that model, but they expressed openness to say, yeah, you design it in the competition, we'll build it, at the high school. And perhaps we can put it somewhere here in town and then, offer that unit or 2 units as new workforce housing here. This is another conversation that we've had. I really appreciated the folks at Appalachian not just considering this kind of a one-off project and working with us on the farmers market. I think they've been impressed with the facilities at the high school, with the willingness for us to think outside the box with them and do additional things. So I'm hoping that, in addition to these 2 projects, there may be others that we can collaborate with the university on, between local government, EDC, and the school system here to do some neat things if there's a room to do that. So
It's a nice partnership for sure.
it is, for sure. And that'd be all I've got, unless you guys have any questions. I'll shut
Well,
up.
you certainly have a good report.
Thanks, ma'am.
Thank you very much. Let's see. Next on our agenda, we have no closed session planned. We're happy to have our chamber lady here. Christy, is there anything you'd like to say? Not that you need to, but we always welcome any of your comments. Um,
Trying to expand activities that are socially.
good luck. But good for you. Well, good for you for going there, though. Okay. It's great to have had everybody here and Judy by remote. And since we have nothing else on our agenda, just remind you of the next town board meeting. And having said that, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion.
All right, is there a second? Okay, so Judy, we're glad you could join us. We look forward to you being here in the flesh next time. We are adjourned.
Sounds good.